Hello everyone and welcome to Motorcyclegear.com. Today we're discussing the 5 things that I like about the Suzuki GSX-8R. Welcome back everyone. Today I am riding a Suzuki GSX-8R and it's time to talk about the 5 things that I like about this bike. Number 1 on my list of 5 things that I like about the Suzuki GSX-8R is going to be the quick shifter. That's right, sweet redemption. I commented on how the last time I was out here in SoCal when I got to ride a few different Suzukis, how they all had really good quick shifters, especially the Busa, but my GSX-8S that I had didn't, and that it was just hard to deal with to the point where I avoided using it. Now it turns out there was something off with that particular bike. Not sure if it was, needing adjusting or what the case was, but it just was that, a one-off case with just one bike. I have since ridden multiple GSX-8Ss and obviously now the GSX-8R, and the quick shifter has worked just fine. It is actually quite good, so I'm really happy with it, and this is honestly great news. As one, it's really cool that Suzuki includes a both up and down quick shifter at this price point, as most bikes that are competing directly with the GSX-8R cost the same or more and don't include the quick shifter, but rather make you pay extra to get it as an accessory, so hats off to Suzuki for including it. But also it's great news because it works well, like the rest of the bikes, so now it's just an overall great experience. I'll also point out that both up and down shifts are good and inspire confidence, and the quick shifter really is nice when you get a bit spirited with the ride and really want to push it. Okay, so moving on to number 2 on my list of 5 things that I like about the Suzuki GSX-8R, and that is that they took everything that I liked about the GSX-8S, a really good bike in its own right, and in my opinion made it even better. In my review of the GSX-8S, I had said that I really liked the bike and would love to see a sport version, and sure enough, half a year later, Suzuki announced it. Now the fear is always that you got what you asked for, but then it wasn't executed quite right, but in this case, it is. Everything that I liked about the 8S is still here: the great handling, the power to weight ratio, the comfortable riding position, the great balance, but then somehow, even with mostly all the same components, with the exception of different handlebars, different front suspension, and a full fairing, the 8R to me just feels that much better. Really well executed bike on Suzuki's part. It's really interesting to me how such minimal additions or changes made the bike feel that much more sporty and feel even more fun. Alright, number 3 on my list, the 5 things that I like about the Suzuki GSX-8R are the brakes. Now on paper, we are looking at the front having dual 310mm discs with ABS, featuring 4-piston Nissan radial mounted calipers, and in the rear, you've got a single 240mm disc with ABS, featuring a single piston Nissan caliper. Now these components are nowhere near bad by any means, but they are also not top shelf components like Brembo Limas that you find on most manufacturers' high-end bikes or hardcore sport bikes like the Hayabusa, for example. With that said, to me, they perform better than they suggest, and they should on paper. On paper, the specs say they will be good. To me, they are great. Now take this with a grain of salt. I didn't push them to say track-like limits. I am still on the street here, and at best, pushing it a tad in the canyons. At the end of the day, I'm still needing to follow the rules, right? Of the road, and while it's not my bike, I am borrowing it, so there's obviously limits that I have to respect. But with that said, when I was riding in a spirited manner, and when I did push the bike, regardless of what I threw at it, I never asked for more brakes. They were always there, gave me confidence, solid feel, and just overall solid, steady braking performance. I don't like when bikes don't have enough brakes to match their power and acceleration, or when their brakes are overkill for their lack of power. With the GSX-8R, I think they are a perfect balance or complement to the rest of the bike, and again, work really great, especially when looking at the price point. Alright, let's keep it moving. Number 4 on my list, the 5 things that I like about the Suzuki GSX-8R is going to be the riding position and the comfort. Let's do a little bit of a history lesson here. The middleweight sport bike used to be the likes of all the 600cc super sports that were out there, especially the ones from Japanese manufacturers. Think GSX-R 600, Yamaha R6, Honda CBR 600RR, and so on. And don't get me wrong, some of them are still around today, but most of them went away due to poor sales, inability to provide on-road comfort, and issues with things like emission regulations eventually kind of killed them all off and really took that category down quite a bit. Now some did stick around, but only a few, and most of those haven't been updated in years. It looked like the middleweight sport bike was going to be extinct, and then out of nowhere, somewhere along the way, a resurgence came. Middleweight, middle power sport bikes started making a comeback, but now they were a bit less hardcore, and now were more designed for a more street-friendly approach or feeling or just design overall. So they no longer were, complete backbreakers and really track-only bikes that were being used in the streets. Instead, they were again much more usable, street-friendly, fun machines. So the likes of this, comes with bikes like the Yamaha R7, the Aprilia RS660, and so on. So when Suzuki unveiled the GSX-8R, it definitely had some competition. Now here's the thing, I have already stated that this bike has more than enough power for the street and is definitely sporty enough, but let's talk about how comfortable it is. I have ridden many sport and super sport bikes, and the truth is, most of them are not that comfortable. Many of them I can only really ride for an hour at a time, and then I kind of start to get, some pains here or there, I get uncomfortable. But the GSX-8R to me is super comfortable. I've done multiple rides to where, I've done 2 hours in length and I've had no issues, no back pain, no wrist pain, no soreness, nothing going numb. Really a comfortable bike, and yet it's still sporty. Honestly, in my opinion, the comfort level is perfect. If you can only have one bike and you want to be able to commute with it, to be able to handle the slow times like being stuck in traffic or congestion, to be comfortable on longer rides, but then to also still have that flickable, sporty handling, this is it. This bike can comfortably do all those things, and I love that about it. Whether I was on the freeway, canyon roads, downtown city streets, regardless, I always felt comfortable. So once again, nice work, Suzuki. Okay, so last but not least, let's talk about number 5 on my list of 5 things that I like about the Suzuki GSX-8R, and that is going to be the value for the money. This bike might just be the definition of value for the money. Look, I'm not saying that this thing is the absolute best bike in the new middleweight segment that I described earlier. I think that part will be too subjective for people, and they kind of have to decide that on their own, right? Though with that said, most written and video reviews that I have seen continue to put this bike in the top 2 or 3 of that class, if not the outright favorite. So it's definitely a good bike, but let's talk about the cost of the GSX-8R. Now, it starts at $9,439 at the time of this recording, and in its class, you have a couple of bikes. You've got the Yamaha R7, which starts at $9,195. That's $250-ish less, but in my opinion, overall, its components are not as high quality as the GSX-8R, and it has a really dated looking dash, and it doesn't come with a quick shifter. The quick shifter purchase and install cost alone surpasses that $250 difference, so the Suzuki is a better deal. Then we have the Triumph Daytona 660 at basically the same price as the R7, and well, the same thing, no quick shifter. Once you add that in, more expensive than the Suzuki, though it does compare more favorably than the R7 did. From there, we can go ahead and jump to the Aprilia RS 660. It's starting at $11,500 plus, so not even in the same ballpark. And Honda's CBR 650R starts at $400 more than the GSX-8R, and also does not have a 2-way quick shifter at the time of this recording. So again, to my point, in its class, the Suzuki GSX-8R compares really, really well in the value for the money argument. But even if we look at it in a vacuum on its own, getting a modern digital dash, a 2-way quick shifter, rider modes, and an overall around really good performance, great color options, and great looks, a bike that both performs when you want it to in a sporty manner, but is also still comfortable, all that for under 10K, yeah, that's going to be hard to beat. So yeah, great work to Suzuki for giving so much to the rider for their hard-earned cash. Alright guys and gals, that's going to be it for the Suzuki GSX-8R. Be sure to visit Motorcyclegear.com. We would love to help you out with your motorcycle gear needs. You can also hit us up via phone or email, and if you'd like to share your thoughts on this video or the Suzuki GSX-8R, feel free to drop a comment down below. As always, thank you all for watching. Till next time.